I think the recording is paused. All right, y'all. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all, if y'all are in the midday session, whether you are in the room or you are on YouTube, let's get this chat popping, okay? You know, I like a little active chat. So let's get the chat popping. I want you to say something that lets us know you are here, okay? So at this point, I hope that you were able to show up for the morning premiere and you're now in the midday session. So if you that's true, if you did both, that tells me something really special about you. And I'm ready to get into it because the whole time that I was watching Act One, I was waiting to talk to y'all about it. Okay, I couldn't even wait. Okay, so what I noticed about the premiere in Act One was it was an honest conversation, and it was exactly what is needed. And I just want to shout, listen, all of y'all, let's shout out Words and Julanda for pulling back the curtain and sharing the truth about marriage, about childhood. That is a courageous thing to do. And it's something that takes vulnerability. But when I saw it, I said, this is what kingdom marriage looks like, okay? People should be blessed by the fact that you are together. And so I want to personally say, thank you for being the example. And y'all drop some love in the chat for the Taylors right now, okay? So one of the things from this act that really hit me was the perspective of how your childhood shapes the way you look at love and how you show up in marriage. So when they were talking about before you even say yes and I do, before you even knew that marriage was a thing, you were already being formed in marriage by your parents and your house and what you saw and what you didn't see. And as Jolanda said, a model for what you shouldn't do. And so if you're ever going to get any healing, this is where you need to start, which is in the beginning. And again, I want to say we live in a world where we are accustomed to sharing the best parts of ourselves, the pretty pictures, the pretty reels. But what the Taylors did today was they showed us what's behind the vow. And this is the foundation. This type of honesty is the foundation. Okay. So please, if you haven't watched it, go watch it on YouTube and make sure you comment in the chat with the question of the day: what makes you feel connected in your relationship? So without further ado, it is time, y'all. I'm going to get out the way. Today's midday session is going to be led by the Taylors, and they're going to go deeper into what you just watched when you were watching Act One. And so give it up in the chat. Words and Jolanda Taylor are in the building.
All right, let's go. Let's go. How y'all feeling? All right. It's
Ariel.
Ariel. Or no, it's Ariel. No, it's
Ariel.
okay, Ariel. Okay. All right.
I'm the linguist. You
Okay.
listen to me.
Ariel. Okay, what up? What up, Ariel, Tyson, Ashley? How y'all feeling? All right.
Good.
So there's some things that we want to just pull out of this first act with this childhood. And what we had to learn in this whole thing was childhood actually played a huge role in how we show up in marriage. And this is why, okay, I tell people all the time, some of the premarital people that we end up talking to before they get married, it's like, yo, ask them about their childhood. Ask them about the relationship with their mother and father and how they handled intense conversations and all of those things. And not saying that there's a deal breaker, or not saying it has to be a deal breaker, but you still need to be aware. You still need to be aware of it. And now you get to fully decide, do I want to go on this journey? Okay. Because this is going to be a journey that you all both have to agree on. So we have some questions that we want to dig in with you all, but we're going to do some teaching on those as well.
So I think with episode one, focus on childhood, right? My question that I wanted to pose to you all, Ariel and Ashley and Brittany and Diana, were you all able to watch it? And if you were, great. Okay, I see head nods, so that helps. My question is just, how do you think, excuse me, your childhood shapes your definition of love, of safety, and of trust?
Okay, and you can come off mute if you want. No.
I'll start. I think growing up, I guess how my childhood formed how I am with marriage now. My parents went through a lot of hardship with my dad, with drugs, and just a whole bunch of stuff going through childhood. And my mom, she was strong. She stayed there, even though I know it was very difficult. So going into marriage, that's why for me, I'm more so because I've seen how, my mom, she stayed there through all the hard times. And then now on the other side, they have an amazing marriage. It's so beautiful.
Okay.
So I'm able to see how sticking it out, I'm more of a stick it out person because I know what the potential could be on the other side versus like a runner.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of how it formed me, like what I saw in my childhood. And I didn't see a lot of divorce, even from other family members. So I think that's kind of what shaped me to be more so one to try to stick it out and figure it out because I know what the potential could be on the other side.
That's really good. Tyson, I see you just joined. So the question on the table is really, how did your childhood shape your definition of love, safety, and trust? Ashley, did you want to come off mute and say anything, or anyone else?
Not at this time, but thank you.
Okay.
So one of the things I want to bring out is that your childhood is your first experience, one, with environment.
Absolutely.
Right. So this is the thing that we have to understand. When we are born, this is our first opportunity to experience whatever the environment is. So whatever environment that was created for you, one or two things are going to happen. Either when you get married, you're going to try your best to create the complete opposite of that environment, or you're going to duplicate the environment.
Lean into it.
You're going to duplicate the environment that was created for you. And the crazy part is you don't realize sometimes that you try so hard not to do the thing that you become the thing anyway, right? You try so hard I'm not going to create an environment where I'm whooping my kids and all of these things. And then you have kids and you figure out, well, this is why those whoopings are necessary. This is why you need your butt whooped or whatever. But I learned that in our environment and there was no safety.
Right.
In my childhood, I never felt safe. So then if I don't get help, or if I don't have conversations of why I didn't feel safe or how do I combat these feelings, guess what I'm going to bring into my marriage? I'm going to bring that same thing. So what we saw in the beginning of our marriage was always if you talk to me a certain way, if you do, there were so many triggers because it made me feel unsafe. So now I'm going to defend myself because I came into it with this notion that will never happen again.
Absolutely.
No one will ever talk to me that way again. No one is going to ever, put me down in that way again, or no one is going to be able to create the environment that I don't feel comfortable in ever again.
Absolutely.
And so when we look at that, when we actually analyze, okay, what was the environment in my childhood? And now the question is, can you analyze what's happening in your marriage? Can you see how they coincide with one another, or have you just immediately tried to drift away from them?
Yeah, and I think that reflection has to happen. It's wonderful if it can happen pre-marriage, right? It's wonderful if you can do the reflection and the growing pre-marriage, but it also has to happen during marriage. Like it can't be, it's not a one and done type of situation. There are things that you have been conditioned, ways that you've been conditioned to respond, things that you've been conditioned to do that you may not even realize that this is the norm. There were so many things in my life that later I realized were from childhood and they were toxic, but that was my norm.
Yeah.
Like I said in the documentary, we yelled in our house.
Yeah.
There was never, now my house now is loud. I got 3 kids, they're loud all the time.
Right.
Okay. But it's not the same thing. Like we literally yelled constantly in our home. That's how we communicated. That was the norm for me. I didn't see anything wrong with that until we get married. And he's like, stop raising your voice at me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, first of all, this is my normal tone.
Right.
This is the way that I normally speak. What are you even talking about? You'll know when I'm yelling when I hit that high octave, right? And he's like, no, you're yelling now.
Right.
But then going back and reflecting, like, oh, okay. So because of the domestic violence that was happening in my home, there was always a point of yelling.
Yeah.
That honestly, I became numb, desensitized to the sound of yelling. You know, children who aren't used to that, they tense up. Yeah. They're now alert. They're focused in what is the danger. That wasn't my situation. That was always happening. So for me, that sense of alert and danger came when items were being broken, when people were being physically abused. Then it's like, oh, shoot. Okay, we got to get out of here. Yeah. The yelling has escalated beyond that. And then only to find out in my 20s and 30s, that was toxic, honey. That's not the norm.
That's good.
Yes, I knew the physical abuse was toxic, but even the sheer way that you communicated with one another was toxic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's like, okay, what do I do? Yeah. How do I now transition? And what does that even look like? Because I don't know anything else. Yeah. I don't know anything different. That's why the individual journey of reflection and growth is necessary for a successful relationship.
Yeah, and this is why we're doing these things now. And I think now there's a level of compassion that we can start having for our spouses to know that, wait a minute, this behavior that I'm exhibiting right now triggered you in a way that made you feel like you felt as a child, that made you go back to this unsafe environment, that made you feel inferior, that made you feel like you were, that made you feel afraid. And it's like, oh man, that's not what I want to do with my spouse. So it's not that you're doing this behavior intentionally, but there are certain things from the childhood that come up and you thought they were gone, and you thought you were over it. You thought because you got older that you're no longer dealing with this, and it's still there. And this is why it's so important. I see that.
I was about to say, I want to look at that, but let me also say the reason why it's still there is because it just got triggered, right?
For sure.
You thought ignoring it makes it go away. It don't make it go away. It might make it go to sleep. It becomes dormant. But if it's triggered, you'll go right back there. But I see, if you can move that over there, I see, is it D. Watkins? Is that the first name? It's, yep, exactly. I'm realizing the childhood trauma, he's unable to communicate. That is it. Like, it may be, maybe it's a phrase that you say, right? That makes it where that phrase was a common phrase that made him feel some type of way as a child. Or maybe it's a tone of your voice. That tone of voice is something that makes you feel some type of way as a child. I'll give an example. So in my home, my father used the word stupid often. Everything was stupid. Not always, and I mean, I ain't even gonna say not always as calling you stupid, because he absolutely will call you stupid. But I mean, from maybe you have some food that's gross, that's stupid. Or, it's everything is stupid. That was a common word in our home. It didn't offend anybody because we heard it so often, whatever. Get with my husband, and even take it further when you talk to people and you're like, oh my God, you're so stupid. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? And it's a joke, right? I get with my husband and I said, something is stupid. And he was like, yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. Don't use that word. No, like that's a trigger for me. And I was like, what do you mean that's a trigger? Well, you find out that in his home, it was used to degrade you, and it was used to make you feel inferior and belittle you, right? So he then, it became something that it's like, absolutely not. Stupid. You cannot use, our kids know today.
It's a bad word.
It's a bad word. It's a cuss word. We got a 14-year-old who will say, I don't use the word stupid. That's a bad word. Yeah.
And I don't even let like friends like, oh my God, you're so stupid. I'm like, nah, I'm not stupid. But I get what you're saying. I get, or whatever. But it's a boundary for me. And that came from something in my childhood. And so the first challenge in this is to start recognizing that when you are triggered, it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yes.
It doesn't have anything to do. It's literally your spouse, something you did, right? Which may have been very unintentional.
Yep.
Something you did caused them to relive a trauma that they've experienced. And now they are trying to make themselves safe. And this is why they're lashing out at you. This is why they're setting the boundary. This is why they're going into protection mode or defense mode or offense mode or wherever they go into. This is why that's happening. Is because in this moment, I don't feel safe. Right. And I know some of the men may not want to like, oh, I'm safe. But safe means I feel like there is a threat. Not feeling safe is like I feel threatened and I need to protect myself. And this is the state that we try, that our goal is to get you out of that state when it comes to your spouse.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if you stay in that state, then you're always going to go head to head with each other. Right?
Yes, you want to say right there. It's why I've always stated, normalize the normal, that normal isn't the same for everyone.
For sure.
Self-reflection is key. Yes, that's Brittany Colbrand. You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
Normal, everybody's normal is not the same. And it's not, and you have to give people grace and understanding. And I think we have to, what we've learned in our marriage and just in life, you have to get in a space where when things happen, instead of immediately becoming reactive, you get curious as to what is going on. What did you hear? What do you see? What is this telling you? So that you can then understand everybody's personal experience.
Correct. And then the next thing, your childhood is your first experience with people.
Absolutely.
So when you look at it now, Bible talks about the two shall become one. Literally, we are now, the man is leaving their mother and father and cleaving to this woman. It's like, we're going to become one now. And in that, we have to now have interaction. We have to communicate with one another. We have to live together. We have to make decisions together. And now we go back to your childhood.
Yep.
How was it living with your siblings? How was it living with your father, your mother, or whomever you lived with? That was your first experience.
Absolutely.
Guess what? That experience carries to this experience.
And it shapes you, how you interact.
It begins to shape. Yeah. Are you now, one of the things I just, with her family, they had these little jabs that they always, these little petty jabs. I'm like, I don't like that. Just like, God, you just always feel like you're in defense mode.
In competition with your family.
Exactly. And so you are now bringing that to our marriage. It's like, yo, let's not do that. I don't like that. So for instance, there's things like we used to play wrestle. We don't even do that anymore. I don't want to be in a position where we're competing against one another. One, because that means one of us has to lose. That's going to make us feel a type of way. I don't want to be in a position where we now have to talk crap to each other. And I don't want to do that, So I want to put us in a position where we're on one accord with one another.
Yep. Speaking to how your childhood is your first interaction with people. So when I think about all of the men from my life, from my childhood, from my stepfather, my stepbrother who sexually abused me, my dad. I have biological brothers as well. And that wasn't necessarily a bad situation. We just weren't as close, right? And I think it also had to do with the men who were in my life who were supposed to protect me. They didn't protect me, right? That's good. I literally had, then you go into all the boyfriends. I literally had no protection. I literally have been on this journey as a strong, independent Black woman since I was doggone 6 years old. Okay. 6 years old, I was made to do for myself. Right. So from there, fast forward to now, you are in a relationship and you're looking at creating a life with the person. I didn't realize that I did not trust my husband. I didn't realize that I didn't trust him. And I
felt that.
Yeah. Some of it had to do with his immaturity because when we met, he was young. And so he did some things that hurt me as well. But a lot of it, I would say a good 85, 90% of it had to do with the reality that I felt like I could never be protected. I would never be safe. And at some point, the other shoe would drop. At some point, you would hurt me like devastate me to the point to where I could never recover.
Okay.
Men are manipulative and abusers, and they hurt. Those themes, those stories shaped how I showed up in my marriage.
That's good.
I said, yes, I'm going to marry you. I want to be with you. Yep, we're going to be together. We're going to work this out. We can make it through everything because we've been through everything. Not realizing what this is going to do is expose that insecurity and expose those bad seeds that were planted from childhood. And it's going to create some real healing. That journey and that exposure created not only healing in my relationship with men in general, right? It healed and created healing in my relationship with my father as well. But it also created and healed relationship with my father God, right? Who, I don't know. Let me just say, when I realized I didn't trust God, I was devastated. And I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I've always grown up in the church. I always felt like, yeah, God's got my back. He's got me. I'm singing all the gospel hymns, right? But to realize that, one, I'm naively keeping things from God like he don't know. He ain't gonna find out if I don't tell him. If I don't confess it in a prayer, he don't know about it, right? And then two, it's like you're holding on to things that God's supposed to hold.
That's good.
So what you're ultimately saying is you don't trust him to walk you through and to figure this out and to protect you in the way that you were never protected. Right. But that all happened just because I decided to go on the journey and be in the relationship. God uses relationship and marriage to expose and to heal and to grow.
Remember, yesterday we talked about that benefits package, whereas sometimes we're going to look at it and say, because of all these things, listen, I want you all to look at this perspective. You're looking at, because we can keep getting into arguments, well, we say intense fellowships, right? Because we keep getting into these intense fellowships, because we can't get on one accord, you look at that and say, we're not meant to be together.
Yep.
We're not meant, man, this marriage is not for me. Marriage itself is not for me. I married the wrong person. When no, what you're experiencing is
growth.
It's part of the benefits package of marriage. There's some growth. You're exposing, you both are being exposed now to, here's an area that you are immature in and you have to grow.
Absolutely.
Here's an area where you need to communicate better in. Here's an area where you're still triggered from your childhood and you feel unsafe. So now we have to address that.
Absolutely.
Here's an area where you and your wife clash because you all live two different lives. It doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't work. What it means is there is work to be done.
Absolutely.
Right?
When Ariel said, instead of running, girl, you was there. I was a runner. I would run. Okay. You show me any piece of anything that is hard and in reference to what I know to be true, right? If you even raise your voice, what? I'm out of here. Now, I told you I grew up in a home of yelling, but you ain't gonna yell at me. You yell at me, I'm out, because that leads to abuse, right? Runner.
One of our first big intense fellowships, she packed a bag and was like, I'm out. No, we ain't doing that.
I'm going to my friend's house. I'll see you later.
So what we can do is you can go ahead and take the room. I'll do the couch. But what we will not do is start a habit of I'm out.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like being aware of here's some things that we don't want to start in our marriage.
Yeah.
And if you've already started the habits, don't worry. You can now change those habits and create new ones.
Yeah.
Remember this, y'all. It's the butterfly feelings that you all felt when you first got together. That came through a consistent action of consistent sacrifice, a consistent selflessness. If you don't feel that, then that means the selflessness is gone and selfishness has started to come in place.
That's good.
Now you're starting to lead with your flesh. Now you have your microscope out on your spouse and it's like listen, once the microscope out,
whatever you're looking for, you're gonna
find it. And not only that, even if they did some good, it's like they bought you some roses. Okay, they're yellow roses. Okay. Yeah, I looked up yellow rose. That means friendship. So now we just friends now. That's it. You couldn't get red roses. Like Nothing good can come of it.
Yeah.
All right.
I think another thing, so the thing that we want you all to get from this first episode of childhood is to start this journey of self-reflection, right?
For sure.
So another question to ask yourself and to truly reflect on is, what lies about yourself were planted in childhood and do they still live on today? Are there any lies that you were told in childhood that you still see manifest today, either through your action
I want you
or
to
through your
type
words, or absolutely type in if you
answer.
know right now.
Yeah, if
Your
anything,
actions, your words. So we say, I just use the example of my father using the word stupid. I never thought I was stupid. I've always known that I was extremely smart. However, there are areas that I am sensitive about. There are areas that maybe I don't feel as confident about. Being told I was stupid or I made a stupid mistake in that area actually created an insecurity. So therefore, in adulthood, I would say, not even adult, middle school, high school, and college, and even now, I'm working on it today. I'm horrible with numbers. I'm not good with math. Math intimidates me. I'm just really not good with that. I went to college on a science and math scholarship, but I'm not good with math. Make it make sense. But that was something that was planted in me.
That's good.
That was something that I believed up until now, my big old age of 44. I've over the last year been telling myself, I'm not intimidated by numbers. I just got to work at them. Like you know what I'm saying? But it's the language. The Bible tells us that the power of life and death is in your tongue. It matters what you speak over yourself. It matters what you speak over your life. And so what stories were planted?
Yeah.
What things are not true or may not be exactly what it is? I'm not stupid when it comes to math. Maybe I need extra help. Maybe it doesn't come naturally. Maybe there's some skill and some study that needs to go into, but I'm not stupid. I'm very smart, right?
Yeah.
What are those things? What are those mantras that are being repeated in your head that maybe need to be addressed?
There was one time my grandmother, she's like, "Man, you smart, you're gifted," and she said, "You would be handsome if you would lose some weight." And I forever kept those words in my head, where it's like, as long as I have this weight, I'm not handsome. And it struck me to the point where I didn't even want to turn this camera on. When it was time for me to try to build a business and do content, because I'm like, I'm not handsome. Now I will tell you all today, okay, that is complete. I found my voice. Okay. Your boy be out here. Okay. I'll be killing the game. But anyway, but for so long, think about how much growth or how many opportunities that I did not take because I didn't feel worthy, or I didn't feel like I look good, or how many opportunities that I missed out on the stage or whatever those opportunities were. You know, you have to think about that. And you're carrying that and bringing that same thing into your marriage.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. You get mad at your spouse because they may say it or hint towards it, and this is your first time where you can defend yourself. Because you didn't defend yourself in your childhood, but now you're going to defend yourself now. And the reason why you go so hard is because you've heard it so many times that you've believed it about yourself. And you hate that they're pointing it out. So now you're lashing at them. You're not even talking to your husband. You're talking to the person that said it. Your husband or your wife just happened to be in front of you. Do y'all see that? It's like, and you all have learned about that. I think we talked about this in the documentary, where there was a point when my wife had left our son, and I know we talk about it in a marriage workroom for sure. My wife had left our son, and I was.
Hold on, y'all, because he said left like I done left the boy out in the middle of the city. I left the house. I was going to the store, told him to get ready. The baby couldn't have been more than like maybe 6, 7, something like that.
7 years old.
I said, get ready. It's time to go. I have pushed you through this thing 3-4 times. He's still not ready. Son, if you are not ready in 3 minutes, I'm out. I am leaving. I'm going to the store. There's an adult in the house. Your daddy and your grandmother are here.
I didn't hear any of this.
I'm going to the store. I'll be back. I left him because he didn't get ready. I come back. You would have thought that I left this baby in the middle of the city.
Listen, let me tell you something. I sat on the porch, and when she pulled up, I'm like, don't ever leave our son. And I got tears in my eyes.
Yep.
I'm not talking to my wife. She just happens to be the one in front of me.
Yep.
I'm talking to my mother. I'm like, how you gonna leave our son? He wanted you. He wanted, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't realize that there is this hurt, this trigger, that deep hurt that you feel is now coming out towards your spouse.
Yep.
This is why it's so important that we begin to recognize these things. And now we're able to say, like, oh, wait a minute. This not even about you. Okay.
Let me just also add to that, as the spouse who is receiving that and with an awareness of childhood trauma and an awareness of that, you not even talking to me about this thing, because there's nothing wrong with me leaving that boy in the house, right?
Not at all.
Having that awareness then allows me to provide him compassion and grace when he's falling out on me. And I'm standing there looking at him and I can calmly explain, baby, he was okay. I gave him 3 chances. I helped him. I coached him. I get it. His feelings are hurt, but I didn't leave him.
Yeah.
I left him in the house. I didn't leave him.
Natural consequence, which I'm all on board with, you know, so.
But if I didn't have that awareness of his situation, then I could take that and come at that defensively. Because what you're not going to do, you're not going to tell me how to parent. I know how to parent too. Exactly. You know, so, but
look at that. Look at that. I'm triggered by the behavior. My response is a very aggressive response. Now, if she doesn't lead, what we call it being love-led, okay, y'all know we talk about us SOPs, right? One of the things we try to do is be love-led in our conversation. If she doesn't lead with love, her response could be very aggressive back. Absolutely. Right? And now we're into this huge debate, all of those things. But her recognizing, oh, my husband is hurt. Oh, this is deeper than this. This is where this awareness comes from, y'all. When you're truly aware, when you're truly learning your spouse, then you'll know that, oh, this don't have anything to do with it. Sometimes it irritates me when she said, it's like, babe, okay, you're upset. You know this don't have anything to do with me, right? It's like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. This has everything to do with you. You know, it's like,
God knew what he was doing.
Then later on, I'll be like, hey, babe, hey, that's my bad. You know, that ain't had nothing to do with you, okay?
God knew what he was doing when he put us together. And so I've been in therapy off and on. This is 2026. I've been in therapy off and on for 24 years, okay? 24 years I've been working on my thing. Praise God. Praise Lord. So when he hadn't done any therapy and he's coming to me aggressively and throwing all this at me, I had the sense and the awareness to say, my love, this has nothing to do with me. I know you don't know that yet, but I'm going to just be calm in this and I'm going to let you work that thing out. And when you figure it out, I trust and believe that God will bring you to that realization and you'll figure it out and then you'll come back. And so he sure did come back. You know what, babe? That didn't have anything to do with you. And actually in the documentary, you actually talked about it on this episode where that was another incident where you were trying, I was like, dang, this is a lot. Like you're trying to get me to fill a hole that I can't fill and I didn't create, right? Sure. That was taking the time to self-reflect and put in the work to figure out who I am and who I was as an individual and to offer that same love and wisdom to you.
Yeah. And we will do that with our spouse. We'll create demands for them that is not meant for them.
Yep.
This is a demand that is meant for God. And what happens is when you create a demand that they can't fulfill, then you start to look at them as though this is where it comes from. Like, see, you're not the man for me. You're not the woman for me. Marriage is not for me. All of these things. It's because you're not connected to the Father. You're asking them to fill a hole or a void that was not meant for them. That's that's not theirs to fill, so you got to also consider that. So just turn it down. The next thing is your childhood is your first experience with your own voice or with voice, period. All right. And I want to read this. If you all go to James, listen, if you read the book of James, James is my absolute favorite book of the entire Bible. Favorite, okay? That boy keep it real, okay? Too real. He just be done. Okay. You go to the book of James and chapter 3. Okay, he talks about taming the tongue. He said, "Not many of you should presume to be teachers, my brothers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man." So I want to first of all, identify this. If anyone is never at fault at what they say, then they are a perfect man, right? So there are things that we're going to say. We're going to say things, and we need to take ownership in our words and what we say and what we put out. All right. Able to keep his whole body in check. But he's saying if you are able to keep your tongue intact,
listen,
then you can keep your entire body in check, and you are a perfect man. He's demonstrating the power of the tongue. Okay, let's go. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. So by controlling the mouth of a horse, you control the animal.
Right.
You control the mouth, you control the animal. Okay. Or take ships as an example. Although they are large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go.
Right.
Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boast. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. This is why you all can hear something for your spouse and it's heavier.
Yes.
That the tongue can set a forest on fire. So your little small remarks or jokes or whatever will cut deeply, because this is the person that is your one. This is your like that you all have formed one, a covenant with. Their words, your words will dig deeper. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. All right. The tongue also a fire, word of evil amongst the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person, sets the whole course of his life on fire, and is itself on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and creatures of the sea are being tamed and have been tamed by man, but no man can tame the tongue.
None.
It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With the tongue, we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. Out of the same mouth comes praise and cursing. How does bitter and sweet share the same tongue? Out of the same mouth, you get, "Oh, I love you," and all that. And in that same mouth, you are cursing. You're cursing at your spouse. You're putting them down. Right? This is the tongue. The wickedness, the deceit, all of these things, right? Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. So your first experience as a child, your first experience with voice is your childhood. What was said to you is important about how you're showing up today. What was poured into you is important about how you're showing up today.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I was asked, now there's a difference. I was asked on because we've also built a business that focuses on helping other people build their business, and we have a strategy and all of those things. And one of the things that I was asked, like, they said, you always talk about thriving. What about surviving? What are some things? And I said, see, I was never taught survival. I was taught to thrive. My father used language of thriving. He used language of winning, of everything we do, we're going to win. And this is what was poured into me. So when I look at life, I don't look at the bare minimum. I look at moving in the spirit of excellence. How can I get the bare maximum? I look at, the fact that we are exceedingly abundantly above all things. That's how I was taught. Now, on the other hand, my wife was taught.
I was going to say, I've never seen an entrepreneur before I met my husband. I mean, they're on TV. People make businesses all the time, right? But in my house, my daddy worked a job forever, right? And he never had any desire to, when he retired, he went and got another job. Like it wasn't like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do and it wasn't, we were always just getting by, right? It wasn't, I didn't understand this concept of thriving. My mom, she and I just had a conversation actually, maybe a week ago. And, just talking about life and because family's still in poverty, all these types of things. And she says to me, we're talking about, one of my nieces or nephews, and she says, man, I guess I just didn't give y'all anything. Like I ruined your lives and I just made it real hard for you. And we've had this conversation over the years multiple times. But one, I said to her, I said, so let me say this. I don't want you to think that life with you was completely horrible. I don't want you to think that I was just miserable and that I gained nothing from my life with you, right? I absolutely gained a lot from my life with you. And we had good times. It wasn't all bad. We had some good times in the midst of the trauma and the abuse and the addiction. There were still good times. There are things that I recall in my childhood that I loved, right? I said, but ultimately, you did give me great wisdom of what not to do, which I said in the documentary. Like, that's what I got. And that is a lot, right? She then looks at me on the phone and she says, well, I'll tell you what I did give you. You know how to survive. She said, there will never be a situation that you are in that you will not get through. I said, oh, mama, me and my husband talk about this every day, all day. Because when we were homeless and we needed to figure out how to get food on our table and clothes on our back, we were right down at the city. I didn't even blink an eye. I went down, I got food stamps. I went down, I got childcare assistance. I went to the food pantry. My husband
I know nothing about food
was completely distraught, fell all the way apart, right? He went to the food pantry one time and refused to never go back. We had a baby. We got to eat. I'm going to get food and I don't feel no type of way about it. Oh, we have utilities that need to be paid. Okay, cool. We don't have the funds to pay them. I'm going to go over to this service because they're going to pay this utility. And I'm going to go to this church because they're going to pay this utility. And these people over here have a clothing closet that they're going to give us clothes. When I tell you I know how to survive, there is never a time that I will ever be concerned about not having, right? On the flip side, though, he's never had that. He only knows how to thrive. On the flip side, when we got into the space in the season of thriving, I literally had a breakdown. And I said to him, I don't know how to live here. I don't know how to love you without there being something wrong. I don't know how to love you in spite of, right? Because you work my nerve. I'm gonna love you in spite of that, right? That's something. Or just trauma and survival. I didn't know how to function in that. So now I'm in therapy and I go to my therapist. I'm like, look, I know this is gonna sound crazy. Life is good and I don't know how to live. How do I function in that and still be okay? Right. And it's like, and I don't say that lightly. Like, I know how to survive. I still don't know today that I know how to thrive. I know that I'm working. I know that I'm working on thriving. I know that I am thriving and things get good, but every so often I am triggered with this idea and this concept that it won't last, with this idea that, you know, or even the guilt or shame of thriving, right? Feeling like I'm not supposed to be.
That's good.
And it's like,
this goes back to childhood.
Absolutely.
So this is something to keep in mind. I would also say in this is where voice comes in. Whereas we look at even how my father disciplined me. My father would always say, "Hey, son, you're a millionaire. You can't make those type of decisions. You can't go in that environment. That's all I heard was you are a millionaire."
Absolutely.
Right. So, and we don't work jobs. We create our own income. So that's what I do. It's like this is why we have a 7-figure business now. It's like, because this is what I was told. This is the voice that was told to me. Right. My father didn't even graduate high school. So as we're navigating this, someone says, "Hey, you need to make sure your son goes to college." And he's like, "Okay, bet. Hey, son, you going to college." So now, every time we get in front of people, this is legitimately what happened. We get in front of people. He's like, "Oh man, what did your son want to do?" He was like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna go to college. We're getting ready for college." That conversation started like 13 years old. We're getting ready for college. He don't know anything about
not one thing.
FAFSA, well, how you say it? FAFSA, all that. He don't Pell Grants, nothing. But the more he kept talking about it, people were like, "Oh, did you get him signed up for the college tour?" And he's like, "Oh, where we do that at?" Now I'm going on college tours. And now, where's he going? He implanted these things inside of me. That's all that I've ever heard. You're gonna go to college, you're gonna be a millionaire, and you provide, you protect, all of those things. That voice is now what carried over into me being an adult and how I operate. With our kids, I tell our kids, like, you are leaders. You can't do that. That's not how we move as a leader. Even when I discipline them, I said, "No, that's unacceptable. As a leader, this is how we handle that situation. This is how we move forward. We're not being deceptive. We don't compromise our behaviors or the standards or the boundaries that were set because you feel this way. That's not how leaders move." I discipline my kids that same way because that's the voice that was given to me.
Absolutely.
Now, if your voice, the voice that you heard in your environment, put you in defense or put you in survival, then yes, that's what you're going to experience now.
Yes.
Okay. So I saw,
let me just add.
Go ahead.
So one of the questions that I had for reflection was, what survival habits from childhood are no longer serving the person you're becoming? So reflecting on that, my habits of
that's good.
making, it don't matter what it is, I'm gonna make it work. Okay. Yeah. I think that's still serving me today. Okay. I'll put a meal together, let me tell y'all, and we gonna work some things out. But there may be other habits, like, it's funny, and it's about food. I keep dried beans in my pantry. We don't even eat beans, okay? But my mom always kept beans, and I feel like if ever there was no food or we in the apocalypse, I got beans. Like,
greens, tomatoes, beans, greens, tomatoes.
Kids today,
you name it,
to sneak beans into their meal, and I'm so mad about it. But so maybe that's not serving me in my adulthood, and I might need to move some things around because I'm sure I've had them beans for about a decade. Yeah. They're gonna be hard as heck as you try to cook.
But there are other habits that she had. Well, when you understand her childhood, she was a loner at times and would read books, and books would take her away. Now that habit we see in our kids, where I'm like, okay, if they know how to read, cool, but they ain't got to read the book. But her thing, Ariel, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
have my baby out here.
Right? But she is like, she will Christmas gifts will be books.
Everybody gets books.
It's like
Christmas and birthday, you get books.
If this was me, I'm like, oh God, this is a terrible Christmas.
We're reading.
But our kids are like, oh, this is the 6th edition of the. I'm like, oh, you like? Okay, yeah, you know. So that habit has carried into our family where reading is something that is entertaining and reading is something that is important. Okay. So we gave you all some reflection questions. I'm gonna have Wifey just go over them again. And then tonight, we're gonna really teach tonight on how these things are showing up, but we're gonna go over attachment styles and why this friction is happening, and how these attachment styles play a huge role in this friction and your safety, and why are you coming at your spouse sideways, and then how do we thrive in that as well?
Yes. So the questions that I had you guys to, on your own time, answer to reflect. 1, how did your childhood shape your definition of love, safety, and trust?
That's good.
2, what lies about yourself were planted in childhood? And do you still live? Do any still live in you today? Yes. And then 3, what survival habits from childhood are no longer serving the person you're becoming? And I think the last one I'll add that I didn't ask was, how have your childhood wounds shown up in your relationship today?
That's so good. Okay, so something to keep in mind, those reflection questions. This will be a great time to connect with your spouse, ask the questions. Now,
and if you're single, this is a great time to connect with yourself and reflect.
For sure. And I would say, if you have one of those spouses where it's like they're not as verbal as you want them to be, I don't want you to try to all of a sudden in this time make them speak, okay? Because then it's gonna irritate you, and you're gonna be like, see, this is why I don't do stuff. No, we don't do that. Text it to them and say, hey, can you just answer these in the next 2 to 3 hours?
Yeah, just some reflection for you.
Can you answer them and send them back to me? I would love to have the answers to these. If they are a texter or whatever, or email or whatever, just give them grace and give them time to actually reflect on them. And then you all can have a conversation about them later once all of their thoughts are out.
And also understanding that if they're not able to text that back, if they're not able to email that back for whatever reason, providing grace and compassion and trusting God that the seed is planted,
for sure,
and that the thoughts are happening, whether the words are coming out of their mouth to you or not.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we'll see y'all tonight, 6 p.m. Central. Great session, and let's get it.
Hey, that was so good. Okay, I hope y'all got pages and pages and pages of notes, because the Taylors went in. So as we wrap up today's session, real quick, if you have not completed the marriage assessment quiz, do it today before the evening session. The team is going to drop the link in the chat right now for you. Words and Julanda are pulling from your responses from the assessment this week anonymously. So the more people that complete the assessment, the more this week is going to be tailored. Y'all see what I did there? Around where you actually are in your marriage. So please, please, please do it before we meet again tonight. So before I let you go, I want to talk to you about VIP for a quick little minute. And I'm going to be honest with you, because that's all I know how to do. Every single area of my life where there's been a gap and I've ever had any type of success, and I mean like a transformation, I can always trace it back to one thing, and it's linking up with people who were already doing the thing that I wanted to do, and I didn't have the answers. And this group of people had the answers that I needed. So they were people that I could actually ask my questions and they give me an answer. That's exactly what the VIP is going to be. So if you are not in VIP, you are missing that. In VIP, you're going to watch, everybody who's in here is going to watch Words and Julanda pour out all week long. And it's going to be good, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're in VIP. But if you are in VIP, it's going to be like pulling up a chair, okay, with a good friend and saying, okay, I heard what you said, but what about my situation? What about what's happening at my house, in my marriage? And they are going to answer you. So every night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, the VIPs are getting on Zoom directly with Words and Julanda. They're not just watching it, now they're commenting along the way, and Words and Julanda are answering their questions specifically. So you want to get your questions answered by two people who have done the work, who have walked through the fire in their own marriage, and they're willing to create some shortcuts for you. On top of that, you got the Telegram community, which is a whole inner circle of people who are doing it with you. So you have family, okay, and you can ask questions in there as well so that you can process what you're learning and connect with other people who are serious about improving their marriage. So I just want you to know that who you are in the room with is a big deal. It matters. The word of God says iron sharpens iron, okay? And then the other thing you get in VIP is on Saturday. The VIPs are going to get an exclusive day with Words and Julanda. That by itself, okay? I know these people well, and they don't do this. That by itself is everything. So if you've been on the fence, this is your indication to get off the fence and get into VIP. The team is going to drop the link in the chat for VIP as well. So go ahead and get in there, get your questions answered. If you're here, you want all of the experience, the whole experience. So y'all, that was the midday session. And I just want you to know we just warming up. That was just Act One that laid the foundation. Tonight we're going to go deeper and the Taylors will be teaching. I need everybody in the room at 6 p.m. locked in, camera ready. Don't come in here tonight talking about my hair don't look right. Go and get your hair ready so you can have your camera on, your paper, your pen ready, your heart ready to receive. Do not miss tonight. I don't care what you got going on in life. Rearrange it, okay? Because what's going to happen this evening is the kind of thing that people pay thousands of dollars to get in the room for, and you're going to have access to it tonight. So make sure you're in the room. Make sure you're locked in. Tell your spouse, see if you can get them in. Tell your friends. If you call yourself a friend and you have friends who are married and you haven't invited them to be here with you, are you their friend? So share this with at least one couple tonight, somebody who needs this. So we'll see you at 6 o'clock. That was day one. You showed up for the premiere. You showed up for the midday. Don't quit now. We'll see you at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let's go.